Are you wondering how could we convert a step-by-step process or a pseudocode into a visual diagram in order for us to better understand it? If yes, then listen further. Good day everyone, we are Group 2 and we will be discussing flowcharts. The members of our group and their corresponding topics are as follows. I, Renz Dexter, am the one in charge of introducing the topic, and likewise the members of the group and their corresponding areas. I will also be the one who will be talking about the application of flowcharts later. Lastly, I am also the one who will be speaking of the ending remarks to end the discussion. On the other hand, defining flowchart and discussing the history of flowcharts will be tackled by Fabiel Ann. Next, Joshua will be the one who will be expounding on the shapes used on flowchart and their corresponding usage. Lastly, Maurice will be the one who will elaborate more on the topic by presenting and explaining examples of flowcharts. He will also be the one who will summarize the entire report afterward. Applications of flowchart. Flowcharts are used for the following. First is to develop an understanding of how a process is done. Next is to study a process for further improvement. Flowcharts are also used to communicate to others how a process is done. Fourth is to document a certain process. Lastly, flowcharts are used especially when planning a project.
Good day everyone, I am Fabiel Andreas to discuss the definition and history of flowchart. Defining flowchart. What is a flowchart? A flowchart is a type of diagram that represents an algorithm, workflow, or process. It is a diagrammatic representation of a solution model to a given problem. Flowcharts are used in analyzing, designing, documenting, or managing a process or program in various fields. They are widely used in multiple fields to document, study, plan, improve, and communicate often complex processes in clear and easy to understand diagrams. It uses shapes such as rectangles, ovals, diamonds, and potentially numerous other shapes to define the type of step, along with connecting arrows to define flow and sequence. Flowcharts are sometimes called by more specialized names such as process flowchart, process map, functional flowchart, and this type of flowcharts have their own uses in different fields. Now let's proceed to the history of flowchart. During the 1920s and 30s, flowcharts came into use for business processes. In 1921, industrial engineers Frank and William Gilbreth introduced the flow process chart to the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, or ASME. Frank explained the first flowchart to the members of ASME to introduce his presentation entitled Process Charts, the First Steps in Finding the One Best Way. In the early 1930s, industrial engineer Alan H. Morganson used Gilbreth's tool to present conferences on making work more efficient to business people at his company. In the 1940s, two graduates, Art Spinninger and Ben S. Graham, spread the methods more widely. Spinninger introduced the work simplification process to Procter & Gamble and developed their deliberate method change program. On the other hand, Graham used flowcharting to process information with the use of multi-flow process chart to exhibit many documents and their connection with others. In 1947, ASME adopted a symbol system for flow process charts derived from the Gilbreth's original work, and this is when the actual flowchart that we are using today was brought into use. Also in the late 40s, after computers were able to use graphics, the first flowcharting software was developed for programmers by Erman Goldstein and John van Neumann. In the present time, flowcharting programs are now made very simple, quick, and easy to use. Flowcharts are still used for programming today, although pseudocode is often used to depict deeper levels of detail and get closer to a final product.
Good day, I am Joshua Yampap and I am here to present to you the shapes used on a flowchart and their corresponding usage. First one is the most important part, which is ellipse, that signifies the start of a flowchart and its end. Next, the one that connects the flowchart symbol, which is the arrows that are responsible to bridge or link the steps. Then we have a parallelogram that is used for inputting and outputting data. A rectangle that holds a process in a flowchart, and lastly a diamond that is used to show two paths when a certain condition is met. Mostly the questions are only answerable by yes or no. And Mr. Santos will then give an example of a flowchart.
My name is Maurice A. Santos and I am presenting the example of flowcharts and summary of the flowcharts. To start, there's are the process flowchart. The example of process flowchart are the start, then you can leave home, then check time. Before 7 a.m., you can take bus or subway to reach the school. So, the process flowchart. A process flowchart is graphical presentation of a business process of workflow that shows each step involved complete a task. It is used to document, analyze, and improve processes. Each step, the process is represented by a symbol, such as a rectangle for a process or diamond for a decision. Arrows show a flow of process from the one step on another. The process flowchart may also include additional information such as who is responsible for each step, how long are the step is, and any tools and resources needed to complete the step. Overall, a process flowchart can be visualized and optimize a business process, making it more efficient and effectively. Next, the decision flowchart. A decision flowchart is a type of flowchart that shows different decisions that need to be made or potential outcomes of each decision. It uses help make decisions in a systematic and logical way. Decision flowchart can be used in variety settings, including businesses, engineering, and personal making. They can also clarify and organize a decision-making process, make it more efficient and effectively. Next, the system flowchart. A system flowchart is a graphical representation of a system that shows flow of inputs, process, and outputs within the system. It is used to understand and analyze a system and to communicate the system. A system flowchart can be include additional information such as flow rate, capacity, and efficiency of each process. It, it can also show the interaction of relationship between the parts of the system. Overall, the system flowchart can be help to understand and optimize a system, make it more efficient and improvement. Next, the data flowchart. A data flowchart is a graphical presentation of the flow of data within the process. It shows the input, process, output, and data, as well as the storage movement of the data within the system. In the data flowchart, the input and output of represented by ovals, and the processes are represented by rectangles. Arrows show the flow of the data through the system. Overall, a data flowchart can help understand and optimize flow data within the system, make it more efficient and effectively. Next, workflow flowchart. A workflow flowchart is a graphical presentation of workflow that shows the step involved in marketing a task or a process. It uses a document, analyze, and improve workflows. In a workflow flowchart, each step is represented by a symbol such as a rectangle for a process or a diamond for a decision. Overall, a workflow chart can be help visuals and optimization workflow, making it more efficient and effectively. Here is an example of example process flowchart. Start, the input customer information, verify the customer information, process the order, then ship the product. So the summary of the flowchart are: a flowchart is a diagram that shows the step in process. Flowcharts are used to make a wide variety processes easier to understand and follow. They are often used in businesses, education, and other settings to help people understand complex processes and make decisions. Flowcharts are typically made up of series, shapes, and each of which represents a different step in the process. These shapes are connected by arrows, which show a flow of process from one step to the next. Flowchart can be used a variety of purpose, including document process, planning, and designing system, and identifying potential problems or areas for improvement.
That's all for this video. We hope you learned something. Until the next time,